first question is, to what extent does technology have an impact on the mental health of teenagers? Teenagers spend about 9 hours a day with digital technology. Most of these hours are not spent on educational purposes, they are spent for entertainment. This led me to my claim of technology has negatively impacted the mental health of teenagers in America by changing social viewpoints and impacting future generations as shown through scientific research. Millions of teenagers are exposed to technology every single day. Consistent addiction can result in a negative change in sleep rhythm because many of them are staying up late at night on their cell phones, so they cannot get the sleep they need. And depression, anxiety, and stress can also result from addiction because, which can also result in negative happiness in social relationships. And it can also lower their self-esteem and confidence because when teenagers are looking at, say, like the perfect body on social media, they compare themselves to like models. They feel that they like get low on self-confidence because they feel that they need to look like that. So it lowers their mental health. And anonymity online results in cyberbullying, which I will further talk about. And this causes depression and a decrease in happiness. The stimulus sources I used were Social Media and the Movement of Ideas by Edward Kessler, who is a leading thinker in interfaith relations, primarily Jewish, Christian, Muslim relations. And he talks about anonymity, which allows teens to hide behind screens and say harsh things that they normally wouldn't say in person. So when teenagers are, say, on social media, they say comments that they feel that they need to say online. And when other teenagers see this, their mental health boosts down because these comments will not be said in person. So a solution to this would be to limit the amount of time on technology so teenagers will not experience these harsh comments. And my other stimulus source was Gaming Can Make a Better World by Jane McConigal, who has been a game designer for over 10 years and has a PhD in performance studies. She believes that if everyone spends more time on technology, it will help solve real-world issues such as poverty and climate change. So say there's a game that deals with poverty and teenagers are exposed to that game, it can help them increase their knowledge on the topic, which can make them more aware of the situation. As previously stated, anonymity allows for teens to say harsh comments behind their screens. Edward Kessler says that it is my view that anonymity is a key part of a process of debilitation which harms society. Psychologists have applied the Jungian term individuation, which refers to the concealment of identities when social norms are withdrawn. Mental health is affected because negative comments are constantly being said online versus in person they would not be normally said. PLOS ONE published a peer-reviewed journal stating that addiction to technology such as video games has led to withdrawal effects like depression, anxiety, and cravings. These withdrawal effects have been found to include increased negative mood, depression, and anxiety. In addition, cravings have also been noted for those reporting internet video game addictions. Cravings can also lead to obesity, which not only affects mental health but physical health. So when teenagers are cooped up in their room playing video games versus getting physical activity in, their physical health starts to diminish as well as their mental health. So if we look at this graph, U.S. teens ages 13 through 17, only 52% can report to going only a day or less without their cell phone, which just shows how addicted teenagers are to technology. Meanwhile, only 18% can go more than a week. So it just shows how much teenagers can't stay that far away from their cell phones, which just shows addiction. David Volpe is a board-certified surgeon with over 25 years of experience. He says that heavy cell phone use showed an increase in sleep disorders in men and an increase in depressive symptoms in both men and women. The more teenagers use technology, the greater chance they have sleep disorders because they will be on their phones late at night instead of getting the sleep they need. If we look at this chart, in gray, those who reported to use technology at bedtime report to having less hours of sleep versus those in black who do not report to using technology at bedtime have an increase in hours of sleep. So if you use your cell phone at night versus if you don't, you're going to get more hours of sleep. So, although technology is mainly viewed as negative towards the mental health of teenagers, there are some positive benefits. As previously stated by Jane McConigal, she claims that we need to use more hours of technology. She says if we want to solve problems like hunger, poverty, climate change, global conflict, and obesity, I believe that we need to aspire to play games online for at least 21 billion hours a week by the end of the next decade. So she believes that if everyone spends, as a total community, of at least 21 billion hours a week, then the increase in or the decrease in these global issues will decrease because people will become more aware of the situations. But while that sounds like a good idea, it's really not, because while the increase in hours will just lead right back to addiction, and teenagers, if they're addicted, then they're not going to be able to get like physical activity, and they're just going to be they're still going to be online, whether it's for the good or the bad. A solution to this would be to set restriction guidelines, such for time and both content. We need to restrict the amount of time teenagers are spending on technology, so that way we can increase their mental health versus decrease. An example of this would be parents could download a program on the devices that their children use that could shut them out if their children are exceeding their certain time limit. So parents could get a notification if their children are spending excessive time on technology, and if they're looking at bad content, they can also get a notification that will help decrease the amount of time that they're spending. And a limitation of this would be spreading this idea throughout all technology-based devices may be difficult to spread, and people may not agree with this, especially teenagers, because they're addicted to technology, so they're not going to want to give up their cellular phones. But it will be beneficial towards the mental health of teenagers and could help them in the future.
Okay. First question is, what evidence did you gather that you didn't use, and why did you choose not to use it?
So I gathered a lot of information, especially in my paper, based off of parents' views on this, but I decided not to use it because my research question mainly revolves around teenagers and how they're affected by it. But I did find a lot of information on how parents were affected by it, but I didn't decide to use it based off of the flow of how my presentation was going to go.
Okay. And then your second question is, what advice would you have for other researchers who consider this topic?
Well, I would definitely go further into the parental views. I just didn't use it because it didn't flow for my presentation, but if you wanted to go, you could use teenager views and parental views, which could give the two different sides of the story.